Yo, yo. All right. Well, we should probably just jump on in. Thank you guys for joining me today. It's a pretty small one. We're going to have to change up the timing of Starside Chat, I think. Um, but yeah, very excited to have a bit of feedback, have a general chit chat around what's happened over the last week. I know a lot of people have had some very negative opinions in relation to the addition of Bloom, Recoil, the ADS of transformation. Uh, so I guess it's a good time for you guys to throw all the stuff at me. Let me hear your voices. Because yeah, I think today is mainly going to be about just gathering in that feedback. So let's start off first of all with the Bloom and Recoil. Um, I know a lot of people dislike the Bloom and Recoil being added into the game, but Liam has put in the chat a little bit of a rationale behind why he did all these kind of things. He added it in. Um, so I'll just kind of read out what he said, and we can have a chat about those points. I'd love to hear what you think, Hope and Death, Moon RT, and Noobzilla. So there were two main reasons why we added Recoil and Bloom into the game. The first one is, because there's value behind the Bloom and Recoil, and that there's also realism behind inaccuracy, including in a game with giant robots and advanced tech. So number one priority is to make weapons feel great to use. This covers a wide range of areas not touched in recent areas like sound, visual effects, animation, and more in the addition to the in-game effects such as damage and accuracy. We hope to be able to deliver some more improvements in these other areas as well. We're very glad that players liked the way the shooting worked and felt in Alpha and early in EA, but we know that to continue to grow the game's audience to where it deserves and needs to be, there are improvements needed. We want to bring up the quality here to be close to our contemporaries, Armored Core, Everspace 2, Helldivers 2, Warframe, etc. This update and the needed hotfix are the first step of many. So yeah, I think that it's a very important point that is made there, is that you find Recoil and Bloom to be in basically every third-person shooter, and we need to start focusing on where it's going to be in the future. Because let's be honest, the shooting mechanics are such an important part of any video game. You know, like I've personally been playing quite a bit of Helldivers, and I know that one thing that I wish Helldivers had more of was variety of weapons. I feel like I've been playing the exact same type of weapons, and it takes away from the enjoyment for me personally. It's something that I would love to see them expand a bit more. He also then goes on to talk about how we want to continue to increase, make a library of different weapons that have different power levels, and some of them are easier to use, but they may not do as much damage, and all those kind of things. And then higher skill weapons that might do more damage, but take up less, but are more difficult to get your hits in. And I think that those are really interesting, and I would love to see them in the game soon. And implementing Recoil and Bloom facilitates that. I think that's the big thing, is the more variety, the more we have Bloom and Recoil and different factors like that, the more variety we can have in the weapons. Because let's be honest as well, quite a few of the weapons, they feel the same. The chain guns, sure, they maybe have different names, but the only reason they feel different is because one of them has exploding bullets. Like they're basically the same weapon with different damage values. So adding Recoil and Bloom allow us to have different feels. Maybe a chain gun in the future will be more accurate, but it'll do less damage, but have a higher rate of fire. Like it gives us a lot more freedom to design these weapons, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where we go with that. Yeah. Sorry, let me just go back. I got distracted. And then his second point is this is this one is a more broad game design question. I know YMMV on this. I'm not sure what YMMV is an anagram for, but I'm of the opinion that the vast majority of games make concessions when it comes to realism for the sake of gameplay. A real-life soldier accuracy is different, likely better than Call of Duty. Ships in space games have enough power to travel at light speed but run out of weapon energy every 15 seconds or so. Most other mech games have some form of inaccuracy built into them, despite also clearly having enough strength and stabilization to prevent recoil or inaccuracy. If we look at our inspirations in anime, even skilled mecha pilots don't make all their shots. These are the inaccuracies that games deal in to make their mechanics more enjoyable. And I suppose that's kind of in relation to the fact that a lot of players, they've been talking about their head canon, and relating to why it doesn't make sense for us to be putting recoil in. And I think that's kind of what he was trying to address there. Okay, so we have a couple of comments in there. Noobzilla is too poor for a mic for Discord. Boo! You'll have to find out a way to get that so we can have a chat. Can I rent out my asteroid? I need to eat. Unfortunately, not yet. For sure, there'll be a way to get some. You'll have to get your emissions from TCQ. In 15 weeks, you can eat. Hope and Death says players were happy with the way the guns functioned before we added the bloom and recoil. So my thoughts are this: make weapons vary in other ways and remove recoil or bloom, or add weapon perks that remove the bloom and recoil for guns, so it's possible to have guns function like before. Yeah, I'm sure that we have thoughts like that. The second one for game design, and I think that's the big thing, right? Is that we are now able to add more variation between the weapons, and I think that's one of the major reasons why it's in. And honestly, like, whenever I've played since the update, I've been able to, especially after the second patch update, I find that it's still very simple to kill the NPC pirates. Like, I don't know. I don't think the challenge is too bad. While it's hard to get used to the new mechanic, my personal opinion is that it's still playable. It's still fun. Moon RT says maybe if what the vision of the game is brought forward before the update, the change would be better expected and thus accepted. I like variety of weapons. YMMV, written abbreviation for your mileage, may vary. Used, for example, on social media and text messaging emails to mean that you understand people may have different opinions. Opinion or experience yours. Their first album was better, but of course, okay. Fair enough. So everyone has a different opinion. But yeah, so I suppose a big thing as well is like Liam, he plays so many games. He plays a variety of games and is very passionate about video games. I saw one quite rude comment basically saying, "Oh, whoever plays in the dev team and the design team obviously don't play video games," but they obviously do. They're very passionate people about video games. They don't find themselves in these jobs just because they don't have a passion for video games. Most of them have to go and get qualifications to become video game designers, to become QA people. So yeah, lots of people, they've got experience in QA. Our QA people are super passionate. QA DP is an absolute legend, and yeah. Yeah, I think that the big thing was that we added bloom and recoil without any warning. Like Liam came on Starside Chat and he was talking about adding new mechanics into the game, but he didn't really specify what the mechanics were going to be. And I think that, while we try to give hints that something was going to be changing, we didn't give specific examples as to was going to be added in. The team has the players playing early access to get our feedback on the game and the updates as they release. We have clearly disagreed on the new blooms and recoil system. The newest update has ruined the movement of the next starships, but has at least fixed sniper rifles so we can hit things again. Yeah, that's very much true. Like early access, it's all about receiving community feedback, etc. But we're not going to implement it immediately. Like, we have over a year left on early access. I imagine we're going to be I imagine we're going to be extending the early access, and that's not confirmed. But like, yeah, we've sourcing lots of feedback, and we make lots of decisions with that. But we aren't just going to remove bloom after a week. We're going to be looking into how we can fix it and change it. Because as I said before, as Liam said before, how are we going to be putting variation between weapons? Because like at the end of the day, there's pools of weapons where people are able to get the different perks on them, right? So realistically, if two guns have the exact same perks and they feel exactly the same, they're not different guns. They're the same gun with a different packaging. Like, and that's it. We want to have guns that feel different and shoot different and alter the way that you play the game. So we're going to be fiddling around with the recoil and bloom mechanics and seeing what we can do there. Also on the point of the newest update has ruined the movement of mechs and starships, but has at least fixed the sniper rifle so we can hit things again. Yeah, so that was a known issue, and I don't think we expected the issues to be as wide impacting. When I was in the patch meeting, 2A were under the impression that it would be very uncommon for people's movements to be affected by the known issue. But I suppose everybody has different resolutions, etc. And one thing that I should note about Blowfish is that the QA team, they all have the same computers, they all have the same setups. So I suppose that kind of limited the amount of testing that was done on the different setups, which is unfortunate. But I look forward to seeing that. And like with that known issue, of course somebody playing on a Steam Deck is going to experience more issues because their resolution is so different from like a classic PC. So I mean, it's very frustrating, and the fact that the update included that bug is very frustrating. But it's something we're fixing, and we're hopefully going to be getting fully repaired in the next patch. Not next patch, but next update, which should be towards the end of May. I would probably say in, what is it, the 7th? I would probably say in about 18 days, you could expect a new update. So, you know, we've tried to address some of these major issues. And yeah, we completely agree. The values that we had, the bloom and the recoil were too high initially, but we think that the new values are a lot better. But we're going to continue to do tweaking. Hope and Death says, I think the team definitely need to reduce the bloom and recoil, definitely overwhelming. Okay, so you still feel that it's that those values are too high? Because I definitely understand that they probably are, especially the explosive shock crosshairs that you can't even see what you're aiming at. Yeah, that thing is... Yeah, I think I definitely agree with you. Don't worry, Hope and Death. The team definitely agree with you, and you can expect that to be fixed. But yeah, the next update's going to be in just under 3 weeks, so no fear there, okay? I can't guarantee that it'll be fixed in the next one, but we will eventually fix it. Bare minimum. Especially Moon RT says, it's typical a AAA game would take 3 years to build. PG scrapped UE4 and then started building UE5 last September. For me personally, I think the development is moving at an acceptable pace for me and prefer that update comes frequent in small patches balancing. Yeah, so the style that we've been going for at the moment seems to be large updates with lots of different features, with rebalancing as well. And it's true. I don't think it was September last year because I was here. I think it was around March last year that we rebuilt. And yeah, we had to basically redesign loads of assets, figure out the translation between UE Engine 4 and UE Engine 5 for a whole bunch of different configurations. Then we had to do the networking and blockchain integration. And yeah, we are aiming for a very ambitious AAA title. You know, we're trying to put that quality in from an indie game studio. So it's quite difficult for, you know, an indie team to be able to develop a AAA quality game. You know, AAA quality is the highest quality of video game. So, you know, that's why the development's slow, because each new asset that we make, it's AAA quality. Every new thing that we add in, we have to make it AAA quality. It's not, you know, the regular indie game quality where it's, you know, a 2D asset. It's a 3D model that's got to be digitally rendered. And, you know, I don't know too much about the technical side, but it needs to be able to interact with the environments properly. It needs to be able to do so many different things. So it does take time to get these things sorted. And I obviously don't want it to sound as though we're making excuses. We're working as hard as we can, and we're trying to get things out at a fast pace. But we're humans, right? At the end of the day, there's how X amount of Blowfish employees, and we're all humans. We have to take weekends off, and we have to sleep and eat and go take a dump. It's I think that's an important thing. We're not AI machines who are trying to make these things. But yeah, maybe looking into it, we need to do like smaller patches where we address smaller things, and then like smaller variations and things, and then do more rebalancing. Who knows? I'm sure we'll continue this pattern for a bit, and then reevaluate as to whether there's a more efficient way for us to get updates out. Because we were doing 2-week update frequencies, and that was killing our team. That was killing the dev team. It was not fair on our staff, and I think it also led to more issues being released with those patches because people were put in, such a small time frame to do these things. QA weren't able to do as much testing. Like let's say there's a 2-week turnaround for a patch or an update. You have to add something in, and then you have to test it. And the more time that you can test it, the more issues can be found, the more values can be fiddled around with. And if you don't have like a week to test something, then issues are going to happen. So I think this monthly cadence is really good because it gives the dev team more time to actually develop the things that they put in the game, and then QA have more time to test it and bring it out. Obviously, it's not a foolproof thing, and you're going to continue to see glitches and bugs come out. This process isn't going to be perfect. There's going to be times that you see like this known issue with the movement speeds being affected by screen resolution. It's not a perfect update, and we wish that it wasn't released, but we kind of had to release something. I think everyone that played that previous update should get an airdrop, something like Stormtrooper shooting at a target with all the shots missing. I like that. It'll be like a NFT poster, POAP for the update. With the new weapon perk system, I think we need a way to remove select perks from weapons and use them for other weapons, so every player can build their perfect weapon without relying on pure RNG. Could even make this a premium service that costs Astropha. Yeah, I really like that idea, man. It sounds like a very good Astropha sync as well. I know a lot of people are concerned about the Astropha. And you know what? In a little bit, I'll also talk about the bounty missions. I know that's something that the community have been very concerned about, and it'll be good for you guys to be able to talk a bit about that and answer any questions that are coming with it. But yeah, I think that being able to craft your weapons to have the perks that you want, it's a very, very important thing, and we would love to be able to get that out. I'm unsure, and I can't really speak to whether design have any plans for that yet. But I have a feeling that there's a system coming out soon that will hopefully be able to do that, as well as do some other pretty cool upgrades and changes to your avatar and Starfighter. But yeah, it'll probably be further down the track. I think we're focusing more on the gameplay. Sorry, more on content rather than quality of life things, such as crafting weapons and that kind of stuff. We want a base game so then people can go in and craft their game later. Yeah, I think the maximum output of a dev team is more or less the current pace. Yeah, exactly. At least it's very much the healthy thing. How many devs are working on this game? I'm assuming at least 25. I think it might actually be less than 25 devs. So if you want to, here's a bit more of like a breakdown of how video game studios work, right? So you have, I feel like the dev team that gaming community refer to colloquially is the design team, the actual coders and engineers, the design team, the QA team, those are the devs, right? So if you're actually calling that colloquial thing as 25 devs as being the amount of devs, I would probably say it's higher. But the dev team who develop the back end, who do the coding, who do the, basically all the important back-end stuff, I think that it would probably be about 10, probably about 10 people, and then you have, you know, the art teams, all these other things. But yeah, we're trying to do a AAA quality game that is unfortunately, you know, doesn't have the AAA budget and forces behind it. Um, but yeah, so to be fair to the QA team in BFS, I used to be a QA in EA. Oh, EA Studio, EA Games. We have no say if a game is fun or not. Fun or not is the dev job. My job was to simply test the bugs, and that about it every day. Yeah, I mean that's basically what it is, right? Like QA is very much like testing that everything actually works. The design team, they organize everything, they choose what's going to go into the game, they choose what's going to, you know, what's going to be done. Then the dev team, they implement it and they figure out how to put it in the game. And then QA tests to make sure that it works and there's no bugs and etc. So yeah, I think a lot of people they throw shade at the QA team, but like at the end of the day, it's definitely the changes that are implemented. If you don't like them, it's not the fault of QA. It's a bit of slack that's been sent to them for no apparent reason. Um, but yeah, so Hope and Death says we need more Astra use case with the raised rewards. Yeah, so look, I've said it in the past, but we have a plan that's around this, and you'll be seeing in the new update that there's going to be something that comes out along with it that's going to. It's not an Astra Sync, but it's something that you guys are going to want to hold on to your Astra for, and um, it's very useful. So I can't really go into too much detail now, rather than there's something coming up that's going to be inside the PG ecosystem that you should keep an eye out for, that you're going to want to have Astra for. So that's my 5 cents. And while I know we've been increasing the amount quite significantly, I think what the weekly bounty started at 5 Astropha and now it's 25. It's like 5 times per bounty. Um, keep in mind that we aren't doing it for no reason. You know, it's for grind time. And you know, I personally think that the you know, mining 2,500 ore is quite a lot, and I've kind of conveyed this back to the design team, but you know, they've decided it's the best way to go so that it's, you know, more difficult to obtain, because you know 25 Astropha, quite a lot of Astropha, as we know, we agree. So that's kind of why such a high reward merits such a high task, I suppose, such a difficult task. I'm assuming in the future Astropha emissions will be reduced. I can't confirm that, but from my understanding, that's the plan. At least Astropha from bounties will most likely decrease at some stage in the future. It's something, yeah. That it can't confirm, can't deny. You know, it's potential. Potentially will happen. All right. Hope and Death and Moon RT have some questions coming up, so please feel free to type them through. Otherwise, BFS might go broke. No. Our main source of expenditure isn't Astropha. We still use cash for quite a lot of stuff. The amount is way too high for the amount of content in the game. If we have months worth of content for players to enjoy and we can play for 8+ hours a day, makes sense. Yeah, then yes, the current amounts make sense. Yeah, no, I agree. 100%. I don't tell the design team I said this, but I personally don't find the bounties engaging enough to warrant me personally spending my time to do it. I understand completely where the community is coming from and all that kind of stuff, but there's a reason why these bounties are so high. And you're going to want to keep on doing it, you know? I mean, look, it's really fun. Like, I love PG. I think it's such a pretty game. Um, but yeah, I would continue to do my bounties, and I would look forward to the potential rewards that will come with it. Yeah, before you go to sleep, do some grinding. Also, reducing the amount of bounties would reward players with multiple avatars and promote avatar purchase. Yes, that's true. I think that's another big thing, right? Is we want to incentivize players to get starfighters, etc. But we're going to be it's something that's going to be later down the track. There's going to be some other incentives soon for other assets, shall we say? So I'll look forward to that. No, you're, and I agree, Moon RT, and we are looking into ways to do that. And I would expect that to be coming in. I don't really have an ETA that I can give you on that, but I would expect it to be coming at some stage later down the track. Noobzilla has asked about story quests. No, there's no news on story quests, unfortunately. I'm very sorry. Don't want to be a buzzkill, but right now we're focusing on patrols. We look, the quote that Liam has kind of shared with me was, velocity. He wants velocity in patrol so that we can engage players and basically we're funneling our velocity into patrols to make it an engaging, repeatable experience that people will be able to spend the 8 hours plus a day that Hope and Death mentioned before. Making it randomly generated, making it each patrol being a different experience, giving better rewards for doing the patrols, all these kinds of things. But it's something that's going to take a while to actually be implemented. Yeah, it's not going to be. Patrols aren't going to be finished tomorrow. It's going to be a bit of a journey to get to the final stage of it. And if you factor in that Phantom Galaxies is still in early access, and this is very much still a period of time where people, we're experimenting and figuring out how to make this kind of game in the Web3 space, as well as making quite a new genre. It's important. Any plans to add land-based patrols, or will this be a different mode, like a dungeon that takes longer and has bosses and such? I can't confirm nor deny. I can't deny that that's a plan. I can't deny that's a plan. Look, I would probably say that we know that people really enjoy the patrols mission, the ground mission. What's it called again? Naraka mission. So much fun, so good. Probably honestly, in my opinion, my favorite mission in the game. But yeah, it's most likely going to be after patrols are developed quite a bit more, right? We want to focus on, because realistically, if you think about it, right, the patrols on land missions and patrols in sky missions are completely different. There's so much variation between them that if we started diverting and doing the ground missions while doing the space missions as well, it would take up resources and slow down the development of patrols in space, while also only having small results on the ground missions, basically meaning that you will see minuscule improvements to the space patrols and a really shit version of ground patrols initially. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of what I'm putting it, the way I'm putting it. We don't want to, and that's what we kind of did in the past, right? Which we're trying to rectify. Is we were in so many different directions, pulling out resources and so many different things that we ended up not really doing anything for a long time. Remember in the beginning of early access when we were like, "Yep, we're going to be doing new content every month," and then it kind of turned into nothing being released for a long time besides like rebalances and connectivity updates, etc. That's because we didn't focus on one particular project, like not project, one particular component of the game. We, started looking into the Halberd 2.0. We started looking into patrols, doing more ground missions, doing more story missions, doing all these different things. And when there's, you know, maybe 10 actual dev coders being pulled apart onto 6 different projects and 6 different sub jobs, the actual improvement that's done is so slow and it doesn't actually get finished. I look Moon RT looks like an PG as an Infinite started. Yeah, he just started walking. That's basically it in a way, right? Like we've just released early access. Well, not just, but we still have legs to stand on and keep growing. The output is fixed. I'd rather be consistent down this long journey. Yeah, I think that's the best way to put it. Right? Is we want to make consistent like consistent steps down a long journey rather than crashing and stumbling before we can run. Any chance we'll see a different map of patrols, maybe a randomly generated landscape that changes every time. Already players have spawn points memorized. Yeah, I found that after I did the same patrol like 5 times, I started to be able to predict where the next one is. And that was particularly during the time when it was just for one patrol. And I found that incredibly boring because I wanted to get my breaching missile out and nuke all the enemies. But yes, we already have another environment planned. Not sure if I can say this really, but yeah, expect him in the next update. I think we have. Well, okay, the 3D design team, they've already made like this new patrols environment. It's not randomly generated, but that is kind of like our end goal, where we want to have randomly generated or at least semi-randomly generated patrols. So you can expect that either in the next update or the one after that, you'll see like patrols that are made on a completely new environment. I think that was the biggest tease of the day, right? I'm sure there's some more. But yeah, I really want to see like more maps as well. I think that's the biggest thing for me is that you can vary the spawn points, you can vary different things, but at the end of the day, it's still not a different map, and you do get tired of it, right? We want to have that refreshing new content, and in my opinion, our personal goal for patrols should be random generated maps, like entirely randomly generated maps. But yeah, that's my personal idea. Noobzilla's got time for a nap. Man, lucky. I wish that I could have a nap. Do you guys mind if I clock off early and go have a nap? Alright. Well, thank you for joining us today, Noobzilla. It's a pleasure having you here. Alright, sorry, where was I? I feel like I was saying something relatively important. But yeah, sorry, that was I personally think the most important thing for us to do is have completely changing, altered environments per map. But it'll take time. It's not something that's going to take overnight. I think that lots of people, they don't really understand what goes behind it, right? So let's say you want to have an RNG environment that completely changes every single time you play it. You need to make thousands of different assets, and then you need to think of ways to make, and then you need to make it so that it randomly generates, and you also need to put in ways so that there aren't glitches every time you go into these environments, right? So that's the thing. You have so many like time-consuming different things. If you can find me somebody who can develop a completely RNG based environment that will change every single time you go into a patrol and do it within a year, I would be. I'll get Ben on the phone right now, and we'll give him a fucking job.
PGPK never dies.
PGPK's back. Hello.
No, it's actually not back. It's actually dead. But I figured I'd say it's not dead.
Never dies, man. Never dies.
Never dies. I was about to go to sleep, but I figured I'd pop in and get a lull in before I, drift off into the endless abyss.
Yeah, for sure. So we're just talking about patrols and having like RNG, like basically randomly generated patrols each time, completely new environments each time, etc. Like that's kind of where I view the end goal of patrols being, right? Is every time you go into a patrol, completely unique and new system. And yeah, like the Diablo 2 people, they did have a good system. And Liam has actually brought that up in multiple times. But yeah, you also need to factor in the fact that the assets that they developed, etc., they were all 2D. They weren't in space. So, like, from my memory of Diablo, it was like, there's corridors and there's halls where there's, big battles. So, randomly generating that is a lot more simple than, like, having a blank space and then having asteroids being scattered around the place and randomly generated, and then figuring out ways of having enemies spawn from there, etc. So yeah, it'll probably take a while for that to be fully RNG'd and made into reality, but it's the hope that we're going to be at least able to have some form of RNG in every patrol, so that you'll be able to experience different things each time. But yeah, replayability. That's the end goal of patrols right now. But yeah. So, Wing, do you have any feedback you'd like to share based on the previous two updates? Update 2.4, 5.2.4, and 2.7?
I think it would be one thing. I think it would be really nice to have sensitivity settings for both, and I'm talking about mouse here, for both Starfighter and Mech.
Yep, that's something that's in the works.
Okay, that was one thing. The boost also, like 3D, the balance has changed in a way that's still a bit wonky to me. Like the left to right and the roll have like sort of lost. The roll was super fast for a while. That has been fixed, but like, for example, if I used to do like the 3D, I could enter like a very nice barrel roll, like a true proper barrel roll, and that's gone now. So I don't know if the strength between front, back, and side got adjusted. Whatever, it's something I noticed. But more on like an actual buggy front, there have been cases where I've been flying around and all of a sudden I'll go into a map, particularly ones where I am at like the big gates. Like this has happened mostly, perhaps all the time, at maps with the big gates. I will lose the entire ability to use any ability or boost. And I will also, like, I won't even be able to use the gate. I will have to quit back to menu every time this happens.
Right, okay. Yeah, so those are just, unfortunately, bug issues that we're going to be working on, obviously not intended behavior that we're going to be working on. And, those ones are usually the ones we try to address the fastest, right? But yeah, so it seems like we haven't fully ironed out the input issue. That's probably why the wonk is still there and the issues are still there with the rotating or rolling. But hopefully we'll be able to get that, back to normal soon, because the 5.2.4 update didn't have any mention of us trying to change movement, right? That was all of the movement stuff has been completely unintended, and we are looking into ways of getting it back into basically just changing it back.
The variables got kicked in the face. Lol.
Mm.
Oh, it's a beautiful thing.
But yeah, it was a big update. But yeah, we're looking into fixing up the UI for the what's it called, the global text and just a text chat. Has everyone been using that, and has there been good results with that?
I've poked it. The thing is that when I first got in there, I didn't see any. There was no mention in the key controls of how to access it.
Right. Okay.
So I was like, okay, or how to get out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
The UI. Yeah, we're working on the UI to make it more user friendly and not taking up so much space.
yeah.
Yeah. So expect changes
Oh,
over to that one.
also, if this is definitely a good feature. Right. So if I close the chat box and then I jump to a new map, the chat box reopens. It'd be nice if it just remembered what your setting was.
No, I agree for sure. Yeah, that one's being passed on to the team as well, and we'll be looking into getting that fixed. I think in the next patch or the one after that. Because yeah, we've got so many things planned for the next update as well. Like it's going to be another really good update. Let me see if there's anything I can tease. Can't say that. Can't say that. Can't talk about that. I'm just reading through this and going, you know what? I probably shouldn't talk about any of this. Oh, I can probably say this. More localization. Yay! More translations. That'll be good. But yeah, the rest of the stuff is pretty juicy, and I probably shouldn't mention it.
That's fine. I can cook.
Yeah, let it cook. Trust the process.
let it cook. No, never trust the process. Just let it cook and see what happens.
Yeah. It's kind of just rolling the dice, you know?
Yep.
You get what you get.
I
post a screenshot for 5 minutes. I mean, I like my job, hope and death. I don't feel like I don't feel like losing it anytime soon. I haven't even been here for a year, so like I don't get severance if I get fired. It'll just be
oh no.
It'll just be a massive issue. Maybe once I hit 1 year, I'll start doing stuff like that.
You know how I'm approaching 2 years at my job.
Nice.
And they're making me give this big ass talk, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm celebrating it by showing up with my electric guitar and playing a parody to start my physics talk. Fools! Actual fools!
Yeah. Hope and death. You're trying to peer pressure me, mate. I'm not gonna succumb to the peer pressure. I'm a big boy. I'm a big boy. Man, there's some good stuff in the next update.
I mean, I could also just say a bunch of fake spoilers. Maybe one of them will be right.
Yeah. You guys make guesses as to what's going to be in the next one, and I'll confirm or deny, even though I will probably deny even if you get it right.
No, you shouldn't even do that.
I'll just speculate.
You shouldn't even do that. Just like sit there, stone faced.
Second thought you were going to say stone, and I was like, man, let me go. I'll quickly go find a dealer. I'll be right back.
Bruh.
I'll run around the street going, yo, you have any drugs? I'll do it.
It's like the dev's gotta cook, but Barker's gotta bake.
Yeah. Then it'll be just like, okay, Jackson, so I heard that you're stoned in Starside Chat. Is that true? Huh? All right.
Just like absolutely bloodshot eyes.
Oh boy. But yeah, look, there's going to be some pretty cool stuff. There's also going to be a big ecosystem thing that's added in this next update. So definitely keep your eyes open, your mind open. I'm pretty excited for the next update. And don't worry, there's going to be no change to add recoil, etc. Besides some rebalancing to it. So it'll most likely be declined again, reduced again, but we'll see. Just do it while still connected. Who wants to listen to me running around trying to find weed? Alright. Yeah. The issue is I don't have Glam here because usually when we're at this point, he does like the comment of a week and stuff like that. I miss him already. Oh man, he's just
comment of... All right. I got comment of the week.
all right. Throw up comment of a week. You can.
The Rhodes sound is the best sound for all your electronic music needs.
Ooh.
How is that relevant to Phantom Galaxies? It wasn't.
Where was this? In PG look. Where was that comment?
About?
Oh, it wasn't something I was posting in Discord. Okay, right.
No, I just wasn't rambling.
Fair. All right. You know what? I like doing at meetings. Whenever I start off a meeting, I do dad jokes. So how about we end off the Phantom Galaxies Starside Chat with some dad jokes? All right. First off, before we do the dad jokes, any final questions? Doesn't seem like it. All right. Oh, any updates on the limited perks rolling on defense gear? So defense gear will have an increase in the amount of gear, amount of perks that'll be coming out. But yeah, I think that this just might be a bug. I'm not really sure what's going on with that. I'll be honest. I think it's something that'll be. Yeah, I'm fairly sure it's a bug and an unintended thing that should be buffed out next time in the next update. Oh, you know what? Wing, you'll appreciate this one.
Okay.
Why don't scientists trust atoms?
I know what you're going to say, and it's a lie.
Because they make up everything.
But they don't. They make up 10% of stuff, which means they're kind of actually worth it.
It's fine, but slightly trustworthy. Still lying 10% of the time is still a lot.
I have a shirt that says that. It drives me crazy. Every time I put it on, I'm like, this is a lie.
Alright. How does the moon cut his hair? Eclipse it. Oh.
That's good cringe. That's good cringe.
Oh, what kind of music do chiropractors like? Hip hop. Hey.
Yeah. Now that you made an eclipse statement, go see Totality.
Totality.
Yeah, go see Totality.
True.
I don't. 2026, 2028. I don't know. Whatever.
Totality 2020.
All of Sydney Metro is going to be under Totality.
It'll last for 4 minutes.
Yeah,
Damn.
It's the most magnificent thing I've ever seen. Go see Totality.
Okay, I'll have to. Okay, so here's the final joke for Starside Chat. Glam would love these jokes, man. Glam would love it. Alright, this is an Aussie one to send us off for the afternoon. Can a kangaroo jump higher than the Empire State Building? Of course it can. Buildings can't jump. No?
That is a true dad joke.
God. I can't wait to be a dad just so I can make these jokes.
I'm gonna go to bed. That's how I'm going to sleep.
You won't be able to just from the laughter, mate. That's the issue. Alright. Well, thank you all so much for joining me. It was a quiet one today, so next week we might have to change up the time a little bit. But thank you all for joining. Much appreciated. And I'll see you guys next week. Well,
good
I'll also
one.
see you on my Discord. Alright. Oh, and this is when Glam would play some music and it'll close out.
If I had sharing power, I would, but I don't.
Alright.
Just pretend.
Ciao.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Good night. Or whatever time zone it is.